welcome back to another important topic at the We Are
Your podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about body positivity.
Mm-hmm. So you probably heard of like the body positivity movement, where like women who, whatever body type you have, it's basically being like, be you. You're beautiful just as you are. Don't change. You know.
And I think it's really important to note that there's like a lot of misconceptions about this movement, and that we'll dive into everything.
Yeah.
But
so,
what is the body positive movement?
Okay, so the body positivity movement is basically a movement where women have come together. It's mainly women, I feel like. I feel like it could be men, but I feel like it's the majority of the people involved in this are women. But women have kind of been coming together to empower individuals. Like, for example, Lizzo, I think she's a big one who's part of the body positivity movement. They've come together and been like, be content with your body, no matter if you're overweight or no matter what you look like. Like, you're perfect just the way you are. Kind of like bringing confidence, because I think a lot of, say, overweight individuals have been felt like in society they've been like repressed, or they've felt like less, and they've wanted to be.
Or even like underweight people who feel like they don't have enough curves.
Yeah, I think a lot of underweight people are also like, everyone tells me I need to eat more, and like I'm fine with how I am.
Or like I need bigger chest or a bigger butt.
Right.
Like, stuff
and
like
then
that.
there are also people who are overweight who feel the need to be skinny and look like this in a bikini and look like Kendall Jenner and like Kim Kardashian, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's a very conflicting thing, and like I think the body positivity, like a main part of it is just to be comfortable in your body shape, because your body does so much for you, and appearance is nothing in the long run as long as it's healthy and giving you what you need.
But I think something that's important to address with this is that it's not necessarily saying like, oh, if you're like obese, that's totally fine, you don't have to change at all. I think it's important to recognize that it's how important like being healthy is, and like living
and
a healthy
looks different
lifestyle.
for so many different
everyone
people.
has naturally a different body shape. You don't need to be like skinny, and you don't need to be like
hourglassy or anything.
Yeah, not at all. Like, I don't have an hourglass shape at all, and that's fine. I don't care.
Because she's healthy, and she's happy, and she's able to do what she wants to do.
I feel like as long as you try to maintain a balanced diet, and that doesn't mean all the time you have to like eat like smoothies and like one slice of peach. Like, not at all.
Being fit is not about getting a body shape. It's about feeling your best so you can be there for the people that you love, and you can be there for the things that you like.
Yeah, and I feel like it's also about feeling happy. Yeah. Like, feeling content with yourself and being proud. And, like, I feel like you just know when you're healthy.
And if you are overweight and you feel crappy all the time and you feel like you can't do the things that you want to do, then it is probably a good time to change that.
Yeah, and I think you can be confident while also understanding that there's room to improve. Like, you could be like, I love myself, I'm confident, but I also need to work on this, right?
Yeah,
like,
and that's throughout the journey of losing weight or gaining weight, if that's what you want to do, it's okay. You can be proud of yourself throughout the whole journey. You could start off by saying, maybe, okay, I'm overweight and I want to change things in my life, but I'm still beautiful no matter what. I just want to become healthier for me. And if you're not doing it for yourself, if you're doing it like to look good for other people, then you should stop, because you could harm yourself.
I think 100% it has to do with yourself and like doing this for you because you want this, right? And not because society wants you to look like this, right? So,
and it's different for so many people. I mean, I'm going to talk a little bit about like races, because it's known that like probably like Mongoloid people have a thinner frame, a smaller frame, they're shorter, and they have a harder time gaining like curves and stuff, as opposed to like Negroids, which are like African Americans, which is like the scientific term. It's not racist, I promise. That's like the actual scientific term. Like Mongoloid, Negroids, and Caucasoids, those are like the scientific terms. But anyway, African Americans, they naturally have a lot of curves. They naturally have, for the most part, again, it's different for everyone, but they have more curves. They have a harder time losing weight because typically they have lower metabolisms. And metabolism is basically how well your body digests food.
Yeah, so if you have a higher metabolism, most of the time you will be skinnier.
Yeah, which is like why a lot of Asians are skinnier, because they do have fast metabolisms. And it depends on the person.
And really, as long as you're healthy, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah, because someone could literally be eating the same things as someone else, and their bodies could look 10 times different, even though they're doing the same exact things. Because it's definitely about genetics.
And I also want to add, no matter what you do, you can't please everyone. Like, no matter what. Even if you're skinny, you're not curvy enough, and if you're curvy, you're not skinny enough, and your stomach's not flat enough. So, like, no matter what, you're not going to please everyone, so don't even try. Just try to please yourself and make yourself proud. And, you know...
It's about how you feel, not how you look.
Yeah, exactly. It's about a mindset more than an appearance or, like, society's I don't know what I'm going to say.
Because in the end, as long as you're living the longest and best life you can, that's a complete win in my book.
And
you can't control your genetics.
Exactly. Let's talk about social media, because I think that plays a role.
Yes, definitely.
So I think with all these influencers, such as Kim Kardashian or Kendall Jenner or Gigi Hadid or, like, I don't know who else. Anyone out there on Instagram or, like, any other social media, I think a lot of, especially younger girls, will be scrolling through and looking at that, and it just makes you insecure.
And I feel like a lot of people think, because, like, the only people that really post that on social media are people who, like, feel like that are, like, those professional models. And so you feel like everyone else is like this but me. This is all I'm seeing.
No, that's what I do. I'm like, everyone else looks like this, like I must be like super awful and like ugly.
Yeah.
You know, and then I realized like, no, number one, Photoshop is definitely involved in filters.
100%.
And like there are certain angles where you look like skinnier or like
I've actually seen people started doing like with the body positivity movement. Body positivity movement. And they actually started posting like posing and not posing photos, and there's such a difference. Like in one photo they look like they have abs, they look like they have a huge butt, they look like they are like skinny, and then they relax themselves and stop posing and they look like just a normal
because when I just sit like this, it's gonna look different than when I sit like this, right?
Like if I sit like this, I look a lot different than if I sit like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like I look taller than if I sit like this. So
which elongates your torso and makes you look skinnier. So.
Yeah, it's about like positions and angles and stuff. And on top of that, even if that person does look like that doesn't mean you have to look like that too.
Yeah, because like, everyone's made
no one is
perfect.
For a reason. No one is perfect. That person is probably insecure too, honestly.
Yeah.
Like everyone who you think is so perfect and has that perfect body, they're probably insecure, to be honest. Because I think most people are at some point in their life.
That's why social media is so dangerous. Because although people are trying to spread this, there's still always those people where you see them and you're like, why can't I be like this?
Yeah, I've done that before, like, scrolling through people's feeds, like, oh my god, like, look how pretty they are, look how perfect, you know, and it's like, number one, you don't get the full picture or the full reality at all, because
if you go on that road, you're never going to be happy.
Yeah, like, no matter what, because then you're going to see something else. Even if you looked like them, you might be like, but what if I looked like them? You know, it's always, there's something more. There's always something more that you're going to want if you... And it's just about accepting yourself, I think. That's one of the other things about this movement, is, like, self-love and loving yourself. Yeah. And I think you can love yourself and improve, and I think anyone can improve, like, and become more healthy. Yeah. Whether it's, like, mindset, whether it's, like, becoming more open-minded and, like, maybe meditating more, like, eating better.
I think, honestly, just a big step to, like, not falling into the rabbit hole is just not comparing yourself to people in any way.
Because I don't think you can ever be, like, 100% happy if you're always comparing yourself, right? Because you're always going to want something different than you. And in the end, it's, like, you want anything besides yourself, which is obviously not good.
Not good at all.
You're awesome.
Just the way you are.
That was cheesy. I know.
But long story short, social media is a dangerous thing for so many people because you see these photoshopped bodies and you think they're real and you think you have to be like that. But in reality, as long as you're healthy and as long as you're feeling happy, you shouldn't feel compulsed to like do anything to change that. And again, if you want to like become more healthy for a sport, if you want to become more healthy so you can,
100% great.
That's great. I mean, it's about how you feel again, not how you look. If you're getting better time on your runs, then that's good for you. But you shouldn't overdo anything to the point where you're suffering mentally.
And we'll talk about that in like an eating disorder episode, because sometimes stuff like this can lead to eating disorders, like anorexia and stuff. Like comparing yourself and like wanting to lose so much weight that you actually destroy your mental health and like your everything. Like.
Yeah, and it's very important to talk about that. And I think in the second half we'll also talk about like how many girls are feeling like this, what they do in reaction to like being susceptible to comparing yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really sad, but we'll talk about that more in the second half. Yeah. And we'll also talk about ways you can get out of, like, feeling, like, super negative.
And how you can actually become more confident, because it's way easier said than done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can tell someone to be confident, but, like, that doesn't do anything. Like, saying, be confident. Like, what?
Honestly, I've heard so many methods, and I'll talk about it in the second half. But in the second half, we're going to be talking about more, like, statistics.
And, like, where you go from there. How can you take this and implement it in your own life, you know?
Yeah, and how to, if you've fallen into the place where you just keep comparing yourself and you're thinking of doing things that could harm yourself, we'll hopefully give you some methods that could help you get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, without further ado, I think that's the end of the first half, we can say. So, bye.
Bye.
You were just staring at the camera. Okay, bye. Welcome back from the break.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try to do this in, like, a professional, like, 38% of... Okay, no, I'm just going to talk normally. I was trying to do that, like, mysterious voice, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so I have some statistics here. So 38% of respondents in this survey noted having a negative relationship with their bodies, like hating it, not being happy with their body.
And by the way, this survey is a survey by Britco.
Yeah. Lifestyle and health. 33% described their relationship with their bodies as neutral, so they don't really care. And 29% that theirs was positive. Theirs was positive.
Only 66% of people, like, don't think their body is extraordinary in any way.
Yeah. The fact that more people have a negative relationship with their body than a positive one is really sad.
Definitely.
Like, that's not good. So,
and it's something that, like, it's you can stop it. You could have the same body and view it differently depending on your mindset.
It's kind of like, you know when you see a picture of yourself and at first you're like, this is so great, but then you, like, notice one feature and you're like, no, it looks awful, like, ugh, because of that one feature you notice. It's like, it's kind of like that. It's like your mind can alter things to make it look worse than it actually is. Okay.
Definitely.
So, oh wow, this is startling. So this is dosomething.org, and according to this, approximately 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies and resort to dieting to achieve their ideal body shape.
Yeah, I don't think that's completely accurate.
But not. Well, I mean, maybe 91% have, like, tried dieting to lose. I don't know. Maybe
I doubt that. I don't think that's true. But long story short,
it kind of is contradicting the last statistic I just gave.
Yeah.
Okay, well, one of these sites is not reliable.
We're such good podcasters, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we give the raw and true. Like, this is what happened.
Okay, I think Britco is probably a better source.
Yeah, I would trust Britco. But still, it's not even about the number, the percentage. It's about how more people have a negative relationship than have a positive relationship.
Yeah. And I actually want to talk a little bit about teenagers, because our podcast is focused on youth and educating youth and helping them. But girls in youth are struggling with their body image. When you go to school, people bully you for being your body image. I have a friend who actually, like, they were dating someone and they broke up with them because of their body, which is horrendous. And if someone does that to you, that's, like, the biggest red flag ever. They don't deserve
They don't even deserve
They don't. They should have never been with you in the first
place.
place.
They're an ugly person inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, high school is such a vulnerable place because not only are you dealing with so many things emotionally and hormonally, but people everywhere are comparing you. You're growing. You're trying to develop yourself, and that's when you really start thinking about your body.
I think that's when you actually care more about your appearance.
Definitely.
Because it's like hormones and like. And
that's when you start realizing stuff, and that's when you get social media too, which
and I feel like that's when you start like caring. So then, when you care, you want to be like, you want to look this way because you want, for whatever reason.
Yeah, and actually, according to Depth Washington Education, which is a very reliable source, I promise, it's Washington Education, which is pretty good, but 53% of American girls are unhappy with their bodies, which grows to 78% by the time the girls reach 17.
Wow.
And again, teenagers are the most susceptible to being unconfident with their body image And so 80% of girls being uncertain about their bodies. I mean, I know I have. Celine has.
Yeah.
Every person I've known at some point in their life has been, like, unsure of, like, their bodies.
And guys, too. I know we've been focusing more on girls, but guys 100% can feel this way, too.
I mean, guys feel a lot of pressure to gain muscle a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing with guys. I think for girls, it's being skinny, and for guys, it's gaining muscle and having abs.
Yeah, and being tall, which is something you literally can't control.
You can't control, you know?
Yeah. And there's just so much pressure put upon people, and I think girls can be really mean to guys too. I've seen so many girls make fun of guys for their heights.
Yeah, and it's just like you can't control that, right?
You should never ever be penalized for something you can't control.
Exactly.
And think about like I'm gonna talk about methods in like a couple minutes, but just think about, like, can I control this? Is this in my control? Then if it's not, then why are you feeling bad about it? You can't do anything about it, so you shouldn't feel bad for something someone else thinks about you.
And no height is right, necessarily. No height is the ideal height, just like no weight is the, like, ideal weight for anyone.
Because it looks different on anyone. I'll see images of some person that weighs 120 pounds and they have excess fat, and I'll see someone who has 120 pounds and they have rock hard abs. It really depends.
Yeah, and also, like, one person could look amazing being tall, and then one person could look amazing being short. It just suits you.
It doesn't matter as long as you're feeling healthy. And I would like to say also, a lot of people are really concerned about their weight, even if they're not crazy about, like, how they think they look bad, but they just want to be a certain weight, which is something that I've heard a lot of people struggle with. And I would just like to say that weight sits differently on anyone. And if you think you weigh a lot, muscle mass weighs more than fat mass, so if you have a lot of muscle, you're going to weigh more than
BMI too, because your height changes. Like, if you're 5'7" and you weigh this much, and you're 5'2" and you weigh this much, obviously there's going to be a difference there.
Yeah.
And as we talk about this, I want to quickly talk about, like, ideal body shape, because there is none, but according to publications.parliament.uk, that sounds reliable.
It is.
45% of adults and 65% of under 18 young adults thought there was an ideal body type.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of people.
I think most people just think that hourglass is an ideal body type.
I feel like there are also a lot of people that think being skinny is ideal, too.
But hourglass is skinny,
Yeah, that's true. I think but it also changes over the course of years.
Yes, definitely.
Like, I feel like
over generations,
it's like the model body type, and then there's the Kim Kardashian body type, and then there's the...
And, like, back in, like, the 80s, it was just having a really big bust and a really tiny waist. And now it's, like, it just changes.
Yeah, I feel like it changes, and that just goes to show you there's no one ideal one. If it really just changes that much, there's no ideal one.
Yeah, it just changes with society, and society can never make up their mind.
Everything is relative to how other people view it. Like, the only reason you're this way is because other people tell you you are. It's relative to other people.
I remember us talking about
we had this conversation about, like, the only reason you are this way is because
other people view
other people aren't, or other people are, so you aren't, right? Like,
it's not something that's set in stone.
Everything's just relative to everything else.
Yeah, I remember us talking. I remember saying that and being like,
so deep. That was
a great.
You're such a deep philosopher.
No, we were like, this is great. Anyway, but basically, like Celine was saying, everything is relative, and when everything is changing like that, it can't be a solid fact, which means that
there's no solid answer to like. That's why beauty standards. One person could think this person's so gorgeous, and then you could think, like,
they're average. Like,
it really just depends person to person. That's why there's no true answer to anything.
That's why you can't make everyone happy, and that's why you shouldn't care.
And that's why you shouldn't try to please everyone, because it's impossible.
Yeah, and I think with, like, let's talk about, like, strategies to help, like, with people struggling with their body image.
Okay.
One of the things I would do is just literally look at yourself and write down 10 things that you like about yourself and go over them and just observe.
And I think it's important that you I feel like it's natural to focus on your bad features, but there's so many features about yourself that you don't even notice how amazing they are, and you should focus on those, Yeah,
and also, like, complimenting other people can lead you to stop comparing yourselves to them.
Yeah, and I think not being bitter and jealous is one of the big things. Like, jealousy tears you apart. I feel like being, like, I don't need to be like this person, because if I am like this person, I'm not even going to be unique. Like, I'm unique as I am, so I shouldn't try to be someone else, because then I'm not even unique anymore. So, like,
I'm, like, losing something and gaining something that like, I don't even need.
Yeah, and also, maybe, like, not scrolling through Instagram for 3 hours on other people's accounts. Maybe if you need to limit your social media, you know?
Maybe stop using filters. I've heard a lot of people
who have, like, filters make you so insecure.
Yeah.
It's like changing your face to something that
you think looks better, but
it's just looks better, fake. Which it's not even real, and no one can even look like that filter in real life.
It's unattainable. Really. It's impossible.
And also, who said it's even better? Like, it's not.
You look much natural and beautiful just by yourself.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you ever, like, find yourself, like, really trying to, like, we'll talk about this in, like, our eating disorder episode, but if you find yourself really shifting yourself to eat a certain way, I think something that, like, is helpful is to, like, make a meal plan, like, make the meals before, and so, like, you have to eat them, which would help a lot of people, like,
I feel like it's kind of fun to make meal plans, like, at night, because then you can look forward to that.
And you can also, like, make sure that they're really filling, but while also
you can make them fun. Like, they can be so fun. If you like to cook, this could be so fun for you. Or learn how to cook.
Even if you don't, like, doing it with your family is still fun,
I would so recommend, like, learning how to cook and bake, because it's a lot healthier to make homemade food than it is to get,
that's
like,
a good point,
Great. So, actually, there is this technique, I don't even know if it works, but it's, like, I kind of sort of forget it, but, like, you say something negative about yourself, like, 10 times, I think, and then you say, like,
a counterpart to it.
Yeah, and then you say, I'm ugly. And then you say, well, like, do I actually believe this? And of course you can't actually believe that, right? So you say, no, I don't actually believe this. And then you say, who would I be without this? And you, like, envision yourself without that belief. And then you have to counter it by saying, I'm beautiful, like this many.
Yeah. And another thing is just being honest with yourself. I feel like a lot of people are struggling with body image, are just not honest with themselves about how bad it's getting. And being honest with yourself and saying, maybe I need to help. Like maybe I need to talk to someone.
You have improvement can be so motivating too. Like, say, like, my skin used to be bad, and it still sometimes is some days. So I'm like, I can work on clearing my skin, and that's kind of motivating, you know? Because it's like eating foods that are better for clear skin, you know? But
and also
that didn't really relate at all.
But like I definitely think that just like if you're being honest with yourself and telling yourself, maybe I should get help now, maybe this is not healthy for me.
Sometimes you do need professional help, like doctors or therapists.
If it's getting to a point where it's consuming your thoughts on the daily, I think it's important to talk to someone, talk to your school counselor even.
And I think if it gets in the way of your life and your social life and academic life and your happiness levels, then And
especially if someone's bullying you at school,
and also
that could ruin you mentally and even cause you to commit suicide.
And I think when someone bullies you and tells you stuff like this, you just, it's almost like you automatically believe it. But think about it, like, why is what they say true, but what, like, say you call yourself beautiful and someone else calls you ugly. Why are they true and you're not? Like, you're, in the end, you know yourself the best. So you have the most truth about yourself.
So if someone's bullying you, just, like, number one, what matters is that you are confident in yourself. It doesn't matter what other people tell you, because you're the only person that knows who you are. Truly.
Yeah. And I think it's hard. It's way easier said than done to just be like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna listen to other people, like, if they say bad things about me. Like, obviously it's way harder said than done, but in the end I think it's having this, like, foundation of like confidence, so no matter what anyone says about you, you can still have that confidence even if people try to knock you down, you know?
Yeah, and definitely get help if it's not helping.
Yeah, I think getting professional help, like teachers or parents or like
school counselors,
therapists, 100% can help. So
yeah, and even sometimes family members body shame you, which I've heard about. They, especially in like Asian and like Latino households, they will call you fat, because I feel like a lot of ethnic people are extremely blunt. You know, I've had experience with, like, aunts who've been like, oh my god, and, like, stuff like that. One of my friends, too. Like, it's very common. It's a lot more common than you'd think. Really? So, like, honestly, just stand up for yourself, too. If you feel like what they're saying is, like, not their place, and it's not their place, number one.
It's not.
So just tell them, like, I don't think this is your place to be telling me that I'm confident in myself. I feel healthy and happy. You shouldn't be telling me this.
Yeah. And, yeah, exactly.
All right.
Last remarks. I would say my last remark is, like, take all of this into consideration, and I think this affects everyone, no matter who you are, no matter what your body shape is. I think it affects everyone, because I think anyone can relate to at least one thing we've said throughout this, whether it's comparing yourself to others, or, like, struggling, or, like, trying to improve in certain ways.
Yeah, this can apply to, like
anyone.
Maybe, like, anything. Like, it could
anything.
Anything.
Yeah. It can apply to, like, face, like, your hair, your eyes, your appearance, or it can apply to your personality.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just outside.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the word. I'm like, what's the word?
Personality. Like, personality, or, like, if someone tells you, oh my god, you're, like, way too nice, or, like, you're way too annoying, or, like, you're way too stupid, or, whatever it is.
Just find a place where you're happy with yourself and you feel good.
And I want to also add, there is always room to improve. So, improving can be motivational, and it can make you happier. So set goals for yourself.
Just be honest with yourself and find a place where you're happy and healthy, no matter what that looks like for different people.
And it's different for everyone, so keep that in mind. And I'm glad we got to make this episode. I was excited for it.
Yes, we will link of our few sources in the bio, the right ones, hopefully.
Okay, and ignore that statistic from the sketchy site.
Yeah. Our social medias will be linked in the bio. Please check out our website. We talk a lot about body positivity on there as well. We have a lot of fun things on there. We have a little bios. We have a little bit about what we do. We have a lot of information about social, political, finance, and health issues.
A lot of different issues.
Email us if you need us, follow us, and
thank you so much. Bye. See you next week.